Welcome. I'm Adam Miller, a consultant with the Art of Applying and a graduate of the University of Virginia's Darden School of Business. Today we've got a question from our Q&A vault about whether MLT's PD program is worth it. So let's take a look at what the client asked our consulting team.
Hey there, you're watching Ask the Art of Applying. In this series, admissions experts on our team answer real questions from our clients who are navigating the grad school application process. Watch this series to gain perspective and get real expert answers to your most pressing application questions. And if you're interested in learning more about the expert advice, editing, and guidance we provide for the grad school application process, watch the free training in the link below in the description. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more application success stories, application tips, advice, and encouragement. Enjoy the video.
Actually, before we get into that, let me just explain what all those letters mean. So MLT stands for Management Leadership for Tomorrow. It's an organization for people of color, whether you be African American or Hispanic or Native American. And PD stands for Professional Development. It is one of two programs that they've put together for people who are heading off to business school. Their other program is called PREP. It's for people who are applying to business school. So very similar to what we offer at the Art of Applying. The only difference is that you will have a coach that has dozens and dozens of clients, right? Because that's how their sort of system works, is all the people who are interested in a similar career field and or set of schools will get paired with a coach. And then once you get into a school, that's where PD comes in. I was part of the PD program myself, and that is all about that 6 months between acceptance and heading off to school, really solidifying what it is that you want to do and getting early access to some of the companies that want to hire you. So I loved the experience. Short answer is, yep, I definitely found it to be worth it. But as this person writes in their question, for two reasons, it might not make as much sense for them. So the first thing is they say that they've heard mixed reviews and they have to spend about $600 and there's a big time commitment involved, but this year's conferences are virtual. So that part right there, assuming you have the $600, which is a drop in the bucket versus, I would argue, the value of getting early access to companies and even early offers potentially. If you have that cash, like definitely worth the price. But virtual conferences are less impactful because not only can they be a little bit more dry that way, but they're also going to be more challenging to make connections with the other fellows. Because in my case, I became lifelong friends with, I want to say, a dozen people deeply from MLT PD, people who I still text and call regularly 2-3 years later. And so when you have things online, as all of you now know, because we've all been through COVID, it's just less of a deep connection. So you're going to have to decide whether just doing virtual chats on a WhatsApp group and doing Zoom calls and breakout rooms, if that's going to be as meaningful for you, if you're hoping to build those friendships and have those side conversations, go to those happy hours, just really get to know people versus just the access to a couple of companies, which you'll still be able to have happen. Next, they go on to say the second thing here, which is why it might not make as much sense for this particular person, and it has to do with their really niche career goals. So they want to go into health technology or healthcare provider services or entrepreneurship. And just frankly, there's not a ton in that realm, right? There's a lot of consulting firms, there's a lot of banks, and there's a lot of marketing roles, as well as tech. But health and healthcare is not necessarily a niche of the MLT PD companies that recruit out of the program. There's certainly a few, but if you can see the list of those on the website. And so if those are not ones you want to necessarily be at, or you have any questions for, then professionally, career-wise, it's not going to be as helpful for you. So they say that the tracks that are offered right now are consulting, finance, and brand management. They probably do brand. I think that makes a lot of sense. Keeping up with the homework seems like it might be challenging. So how long does the network of support last? Is it a long-term commitment that you're getting into here? what does it look like to be in the program for your first year business school versus before you get to business school versus after you're an alum of business school? Like, how long is PD going on for actually? And that's a good question as well. It's really only that 6 months before where anything is intensive. After that, you're just off in business school. So that person's interested in getting some responses. And first we have a consultant who's actually the person that told me about the job here at the Art of Applying. So there is the MLT PD network coming in handy, me having this side hustle. And she says, I was a participant of MLT PD and found it invaluable and worth every penny. The homework wasn't bad at all. I'll say it was sometimes a little bit much. Like if you have a full-time job that's keeping you super busy, having all of this extra homework can feel like, oh my God, like how are you giving me homework right now? Like I'm not in school even yet. And so it's super helpful homework because really what it forces you to do is one, do some introspection, which not enough people do as they're applying to business school nor heading off to business school. And then number two is it forces you to talk to lots of other people who are doing the things that you say you want to do. So you might have already done those to some degree in order to write your essays, for example, but they're going to push you to really, really decide what your life is going to be mapped out like and to talk to people who've already gone down a similar path. So it can feel like, I'm not ready to do this yet. I'm going to do it my first year of business school. I'm going to do it my second year of business school. I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. Why are you giving me all this homework? But that's what you're signing up for between each of the sessions. So I wouldn't say it's not bad at all. Some people definitely complain about it, but it's very helpful if you do the homework. She goes on to say, I got a coach assigned who helped me create a game plan for recruiting, and I credit them for helping me get the consulting internship prior to starting business school that I ended up accepting. They are a long-term network / group of elite students to tap into, and their support is extended past the internship and my job offer. Highly recommend it. So that part I all agree with. Again, the question is just in a virtual environment, will you be able to get as many or as deep of connections with the other fellows? Then our founder and CEO, Kanisha, says, yes, what our previous consultant just said. I love that. In fact, I want all eligible MBA clients to consider participating in MLT PD. I would say that as well. Like, consider it if you are an underrepresented minority in the United States and you just got into your dream business school. As soon as you did, you should be applying for MLT PD. One other person is a little sad because they missed the deadline. Another person says they emailed for an extension earlier on before the deadline, and they gave them up until tonight, they said. So I'm struggling through the application right now, 4 exclamation points. Any advice is helpful. Another consultant says, congrats on all of your acceptances. To this other client who's filling out their essays for PD. As it relates to MLT, I'm a huge supporter for many reasons, he says. Beyond the professional network, though this wouldn't directly benefit you in the interim, right? Because you're just making friends, really, is what's happening in the short term. The social network of friends and future colleagues will be long-lasting. I've heard many of my friends across the B School network that didn't do MLT express regrets for not doing it. The professional training, connections, etc. will equip you ahead of you stepping on campus. Later, when you actually begin your job search, you'll be able to draw from these experiences and learnings to land exactly where you want to. As a 2-time MLTer, meaning that this person probably did the prep program as they were applying, as well as the PD program once they'd gotten in, I fully support you doing MLT Professional Development. It'll be an overall great experience. She says, thank you, just submitted my application 50 minutes late. So it's just after midnight. Fingers crossed they still consider me. Thanks so much. Question. Does MLT also happen during the school year? So this is one thing that wasn't answered in the original person's question. What does it look like during the 2 years at B School? And then is it mainly the network after? I'm having a hard time envisioning what the structure of it is and the time commitment, and then what it looks like now through the end of school with the career coach and the other MLTers, etc. So the answer is spot on here. no commitment once you're in school. It mainly serves as a supportive network while you are matriculating. So they're going to give you all this homework and have you go to these conferences and do some early interviewing with these top companies before you step foot on campus. And once that happens, once you get to school in August or September, then MLT is just a newsletter that's getting sent to you. And your coach is someone that you can still message and set up time with if you'd like, but it's totally optional. And most people no longer do so more than maybe once a year. And even that, a lot of people don't even do that. The other consultant says that she agrees, zero commitment required during business school. It's really just an offering of resources and support you can tap into while recruiting. Lots of thanks all around. And she says that she was accepted into MLT PD 4 days later. So that is it for today's question on why MLT PD is worth it. The price is nothing compared to access to companies and access to other awesome people heading to top business schools. Yes, if it's virtual, it might not be quite as many people or quite as deep of experiences, but it's probably still going to be worth it. And even if you don't know exactly what you want to do, or if the offerings that they have connections to at companies aren't exactly what you want to do, it's probably going to at least force you to continue to refine your goals because of all the homework that they assign, whether it's talking to people or whether it's doing that introspection. So I think it's worth it. All these other consultants who went through the program think it's worth it. And hopefully, if you're an underrepresented minority who just got into business school, you will also find that it's worth it. So that's it for today's video from the Q&A Vault. Hopefully you found it informative and a little bit entertaining. And if you want any help getting into your dream business school or any other type of graduate school, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at theartofapplying.com.